tonight I'd like to talk about this open letter that all of you wrote about this biosolids issue. And to hear you guys tell it, oh, the state, we passed these 2 laws and it's wrecked the whole thing, and now they made this mess, they got to get us out of it. Truth is, you guys can work on this, and other municipalities have been working on that. I'd like to point this out. So there's a memo that you wrote the city manager wrote the same day as this open letter about the congressional directed spending request. You know what's conspicuously absent from this? Our top 3 issue, well, used to be our top 2 are housing and SEDS, but there's nothing here about biosolids, about the fact that we're facing this huge crisis and we're not asking the federal government for a penny. Yet, if you look at Susan Collins' website, if you look at Senator King's website, you're going to see that other municipalities are getting ahead of this. So look at Madison, right? So they asked for money to design and install a PFAS treatment facility. It's the first of its kind in Maine. Last year, they were getting ahead of this. Not Bangor. Town of Grand Isle asked for millions for a long-term solution for sludge disposal, which the town does not currently have, with regulations and recent legislative action surrounding PFAS as a consideration. They're getting ahead of this. Saco, over $5 million. Hampton, Wyndham, Dover, Foxcross. It goes on. Bangor, not on the list. So I guess I'm confused when I hear that, you know, this is an issue the state needs to go with. We're sending out Instagram posts asking everyone to, or calling on the legislature to fix this, yet we're not taking any actions in the city. I mean, I can't understand why we're not asking the federal government for money. You know, they're standing by begging people to put in applications. You guys talked about it tonight. And again, it's not on this memo. There's nothing here. You know, and here's the other thing is that, you know, this letter that goes out, on here, it's talking about, you know, look at all of this testimony. Yeah, way back in January of last year, May of 2 years before that, where we knew this was coming. Casella knew this was coming. And so if you watch the meeting they just had with the state on March 8th, well, the crisis is temporarily averted. And they're not talking about the fact that, you know, they've not done anything to combat this. They held us hostage. You guys fell for it. Now you wrote this letter full of their talking points and the same talking points that's in this testimony that was co-signed by Amanda Smith back in January last year, February of last year. You know, I just throwing the legislature on the bus when all they did was keep us safe. Okay, they're keeping us safe. And I understand this sentiment that, like, well, it's past the point of passing blame. This isn't a political issue. You made it political when you wrote that stupid letter. Okay, I'm telling you, take that letter back. You know, work with the legislature, okay? If you look at the op-ed they wrote today, they gave us the side of the story that we didn't get from your letter, okay? You guys didn't even mention PFAS as the point of why they passed that in the first place. It's almost like a cherry-picked not to be in there, because we don't want to talk about PFAS, even though it's poisonous and killing us and giving us cancer. Reach out to these other municipalities, especially Madison and Grand Isle. Figure out what they did. They asked for money. They were ahead of this last year. Ask them. Find out what they did and do it here. And then take what you've learned and ask the federal government for money, as you've learned tonight. This week's the end of the, right. Yep, always emails.